Good morning. Right, now this is a little modification for a Chrysler Grand Voyager. This is the 2.8 CRD, so it's the diesel engine, and the reason for this is the thermostat on the Chrysler Grand Voyagers are right at the back of the engine block. So to actually get at it, you'd have to take off the wiper tray and get right down the back. And the trouble is, it's an expensive and very difficult job. I've tried it once and we didn't manage it, so it's not an easy one. And the problem is, if you have a blockage at any point in the engine, in the coolant system, at some point your thermostat will jam open. It's a fail-safe. It's to make sure the engine doesn't overheat. But the problem with that is that I now have a thermostat that's jammed open, and on a diesel that's not good. It takes a very long time to heat up. To give you an idea, a 30-minute car journey, the temperature indicator in the cockpit gets to about quarter, and that's with this car's also got the auxiliary diesel heater as well, so it's not heating up very quick at all. So the idea of this mod is to put in a second thermostat, and the idea is this pipe here, nice and easy to get at. What we're going to do is we're going to put a thermostat inside this block. So this pipe is nice and high up, so it's easy to get at. All we do is take the plastic cover off. We'll pump out the coolant that's in the expansion hose, which should reduce the amount of coolant that we've got in the system. Hopefully that means we're not going to need to do a full drain and refill on it. And I'll show you the thermostat we're going to use for the fix in just a moment. So these are the bits that you're going to need. Now, this thermostat here, the Renault Thermostat, is the one that looks like it's the best for the job. Now, I'll put a link to this in the description, but I'll quickly show it to you. So you can see, first of all, it's quite rounded, so it should fit into the pipe quite nicely. You see, so it should be straightforward. Now what we're going to do as well is we're going to drill a small hole just into this part, so it's into the body of the thermostat. We're just going to drill a hole into here. I'm only going to use a 1.5mm drill bit to make that hole, and the idea is that that will help get rid of airlocks and also allow a very small amount of water to flow through all the time as well. Just a little bit of a fail-safe. But so we'll drill the hole and we'll look at getting this fitted on the car. Right, I've drilled the hole. You can see the hole is drilled right on the side there, and underneath, I'm not sure if the camera is going to see this very clearly, you can see that basically it hasn't gone through the moving parts, just on the outer assembly, so it should do the job nicely. So now we have the hole drilled in the side. We're ready to look at fitting this into the car. Now you'll need some Jubilee clips as well for this, because the idea is that once this goes inside, I'll put a Jubilee clip on the pipe so that it acts as a rest, so at least this can't drop any further in than we want it to in the pipe. So one of these and a Jubilee clip, and I'll show you how we go about taking it apart and getting it into the car. So the first job to do is we want to empty out as much as we can of the coolant, because that will avoid it spilling out when we do it. Now, one of these little hand pumps is great for this. Now you can get these fairly cheaply. Make sure that they're made for pumping out things like oil, car liquids, diesels, that kind of thing. That means you can use it for all sorts of jobs. And this one, I think I picked up from eBay fairly cheap. So what we're going to do, take the cap off. What we're going to do is pump that out into a bottle that I've got handy here, and hopefully that means that we won't lose too much of our coolant when we actually take the pipe off itself. So what I've done is I've pumped out a reasonable amount, well, emptied the bottle, and then what I've also done is as you squeeze this, you get some more liquid in. Now ideally this would be a two-person job, so one person could be pumping, the other one squeezes the pipe, gets some more water in. The idea is that this is going to be empty, or as close to empty as we can. So first thing, let's just take the cover off the engine here. It's just 3 screws that hold this in. I've lost that one, not sure where that is. And this will give us a little bit better access to the pipe that we want down the side there. As you can see, these are just very gently tightened up. There's no need to have things like this over tightened. So if we just take this off, and we can then lift the cover off, and that gives us a bit better access to our pipe. So as you can hear, we've still got a little bit of liquid when I squeeze the pipes, so I'm going to try and squeeze that pipe just that bit more and get as much as I can out. Now I've got as much as we can out. What we're going to do is release this hose clamp, put it up the top part, because we want to then put a Jubilee clip down here and then put our thermostat in, so it'll sit around about here on that pipe. Here we go. So what we do, squeeze this together, and what should happen is that little clip there should hold it in the open position. That's the idea anyway. So let's see if we can do this. Bit tricky with these pliers. It's not quite holding on the little clip though, so it needs a... There we go. We've got that released now. Now like I say, we want to put that up over, so we'll just rest it like that for now, and that means we can get the pipe off. Now let's see if it's loose enough by hand. No, it doesn't look like it, so what we'll do is we'll put a screwdriver in and just gently tease it. Now be careful when you do this, obviously, because we don't want to damage our coolant pipe. So let's just ease it round a little bit and see if that gives us enough movement to take the pipe out. So whilst I struggle with this, I'll be back in a minute. As usual, a little bit of persuasion, and you can see it's starting to go. Now I thought I'd film this to see how much coolant comes out, because I'm not sure, to be honest, how much is going to leak here. Perfect. Not sure if you saw, not a single drop spilt. So what we're going to do is put the thermostat in, and I'll show you how it goes in and that kind of thing, into the pipe, and we'll have a Jubilee clip around here to hold it in place. Right, so we've got the pipe off, so what we want to do is we've got a nice big Jubilee clip here. Now this is a 40 to 60 millimeter clip, which I think should do the job nicely. See, it fits over quite loosely, and the idea is when we put the thermostat in, we'll clamp it around so that the thermostat won't fall down the tube and it'll stay exactly where we want it. Also, some of the more observant of you may have noticed it's a bit later in the day because thanks to the lovely British weather, as you can probably see, it's been pouring down. So I took a brief break and we're back so we can put it back together. So what we're going to do is we'll grease the end of this tube just very lightly, and that will help when we put the new thermostat into the housing, so that it can drop down just a little bit, so that we've still got room to push this onto the end here. So we need to make sure the thermostat sits just about at the edge of this piece of pipe. Now remember, the thermostat needs to sit this way, so it's going to be sat a little bit like that. As you can see, it's a lovely snug fit, so we need to make sure that this lip here is down so that it will fit back over the pipe. So I think around about there is probably going to be where we want it to sit. So we'll get a little bit of grease around here and we'll start teasing it in, because as you can see, it's a snug fit, but with a little bit of persuasion it should go in. Okay, here we go. So try to tease it in there. You can see it is a tight fit on this pipe, but when it goes in like that, you see how it fits? So with a bit of twisting and pushing and pulling, this should drop into place. The hard part is getting the neck past the pipe. There we go. You can see now I've managed to get it into the pipe. So now we'll just go further down, so that it sits inside and we can still put it back on fully. Now you can see it's a nice tight fit, so I'm going to just push it against. There we go. Now what I'm going to do, you can see how far in it's gone so far. Just going to push it lightly onto here and see where we're up to. Now you can see that's clunked, but we've still got a little bit of clearance, so I'm going to go a little bit further, just so that it sits nice and snug in there and it goes in as far as it used to onto the main pipe. So again, just pushing it against the engine block. There we go. Actually, it is almost flush. So let's see what that's like. If we push this on, there we go, perfect. You heard it click, which is the metal hitting against our new thermostat. So the next thing to do is, I know it's a tight fit, but just for safety, we'll put the Jubilee clip on the bottom here so that it's not going to go anywhere. Now just a quick note, I haven't done the Jubilee clip up really tight. I've just put it on loosely because you'll see we don't want it to nick the pipe at all when we're doing this. We're just holding this in place. So there we go, that's it in. We can now push this back on and bring the original hose clip back into place, and it really is that easy. Put the new clip on, put the old clip back on, fill our water bottle back up, and then we'll run the engine, get it starting to flow water through, make sure everything looks okay, and also that'll help get some air out of the system as well. So we'll give that a go. Okay, there we go. So what I've done is I've filled the water back up again, just poured the water that I took out straight back in again. Now I didn't put the bottom bit in because there's bits in the bottom, which always happens on this sort of thing, so don't put all the nasty bits back in. And if I squeeze this pipe, now we've got it all nice and tight, you should be able to see and hear that it's flowing in and out quite nicely. So that shows that our little breather hole is working and it's not restricting the flow. So what we'll do is start her up, let her warm up, which will just get rid of any air bubbles, and then that's just about done. Remember, to get rid of all of the air bubbles, it's a good idea, turn your heating on, turn it all the way up to high, and turn the fans onto full. And what that'll do is that will make sure any air that's trapped in the heater matrix or anything like that starts to flow through the system. Now whilst we're doing the warm up, you'll see my auxiliary heater's come on, so it's also heating the coolant up. So we'll also watch what the temperature gauge does and see how long it takes to move. So as a final test, what I did was took the car for a 15-minute journey, stopped, and then the 15-minute journey back. The idea to get the coolant flowing again, to make sure the coolant level dropped down, and it did. It went back to the same level it was before I started, so that's good. And also the temperature gauge showed a distinct difference. So if I turn the ignition on, now like I say, I've had the car stopped for maybe 5 minutes now before I start this video. As you can see, temperature gauge still sitting quite happily at the halfway mark. Now what happened was, after about 5 minutes driving, it started to creep up, and once it got there, it stayed there. It didn't go any higher, any lower, so I could keep an eye on it. Now what I'll do is, over the course of the next week, I'm going to be driving, I'll be in traffic, that kind of thing, and all I'm looking for is to make sure that it doesn't go up beyond that middle mark too far, because obviously what we want to make sure is that it's not restricting the water flow. But currently that looks like it's done the job, so I think that's job for now. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do please comment if this helps you out, like, and of course subscribe for some more videos. Some more car videos will be coming along very shortly. So there we go, the thermostat quite happily sitting halfway, and I'd like to say a big thank you to Leedsman. He's on the Chrysler forum, and it was his original idea, this, so I'm not going to take credit for this. Leedsman, it's a great little modification to get you out of a spot here, so thank you very much to that, and I hope this has helped you out.